Hello, my name's Paul Diadamo. I'm the recall guy with Rebuilders Automotive Supply. We're going to talk about Takata airbags today. In particular, we're going to talk about the contents of which you receive for your hazmat kits, the actual packing of the airbags, and then we're going to segue into the palletization of the airbags. So to start right in, you will get hazmat kits, and each kit should supply you with a Hazmat box. You'll notice that there is a top and a bottom, the side up. You'll also receive an anti-static bag, which the airbag will go into. We supply a zip tie, so you can shut that bag. And then we supply a hazmat label, which will then be affixed to the outside of the hazmat box. So to start right in, as far as packing, essentially, my recommendation actually would be to pre-tape some boxes so that you have them already done. So whoever your parts pullers or dismantlers are, have them pre-tape a half dozen boxes, put them on the pallet, and they're just sitting there. Now that when the dismantler or the parts puller goes to pull the airbags, they'll pull it, and of course we all know that we need to put the last 6 of the VIN on the airbag for identification purposes. I just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, make sure it's clear and make sure it doesn't smudge. They're gonna insert the airbag into the hazmat bag. Give it a quick spin. We're going to zip tie it and place it in the box. Now, there is usually a little wobble, so a recommendation that we have is that you put just a small piece of bubble wrap in there just to prevent it from bobbling around. So think about it. You pre-tape the boxes, the parts puller, dismantlers pull the airbags, so when they come in at break time or lunch, they can essentially just close the box up and put the tape on. However, I want to remind you of something. I get this question all the time. There is a difference. If you're using the mobile app, you will not have to print the VIN barcode, okay? Because in the mobile app, you take a picture of the VIN, so all we need is a picture. However, if you're using the desktop version of our Core Pro for Recall software, you will print one of these, and this would go in the box. So remember, mobile app, no VIN barcode printout. For the desktop web version, yes, you will put a VIN barcode in the box with the airbag. You probably noticed that I did not put the hazmat label on as soon as I taped the box. There's a reason. As I'm building a pallet with my airbag boxes, I want to ensure that those boxes on the outside of the pallet have the hazmat in a visible location. The boxes on the inside of the pallet, it doesn't really matter, but each box needs to have the hazmat label. But like I said, as you're building the pallet, the boxes on the outside need to have the hazmat label visible prior to shrink wrap. We get a lot of questions about the actual palletizing of the airbag boxes. So I want to cover a few things. Number 1, the hazmat labels. Number 2, the quantities, the size, how high, how often to ship, and also the bill of lading. So to start with the hazmat label, we always ask you to use a diagonal orientation, and you can see that's done really well. So number 2, all the labels on the outside must be visible from the outside. Don't put them on the inside of the box. Number 3, in this particular case, we're using clear shrink wrap, so you can see the labels quite clearly. However, some of you might use black shrink wrap. If you do, you must put a hazmat label still on each box. But in addition, once it's shrink wrapped, put a hazmat label on each side of the pallet. All right, let's talk about quantities. On a standard 48 by 40 pallet, you should be able to fit 12 of our hazmat boxes, which means you can put 12 on each layer. Some of you like to mix it and alternate with an 11, so your pattern's different, so you end up with a more rigid pallet. Your choice, doesn't matter to us. I can tell you that you shouldn't go over 7 high, but also in terms of quantities and shipping, every yard is different in terms of the quantities that you generate every month. So I would tell you this. Number one, do not go over 3 months without shipping, okay? Very important. Number two, if you generate 10 airbags a month, you can still ship. We'd rather have you turning the product than sitting on it in your building. So there's some variability, but I wouldn't necessarily, if you only generate 5 or 10 per month, maybe every 2 months, but no more than 3 months, ship those airbags out. The last point I want to make is that with every pallet to ship, you must have a Hazmat BOL. This is sent to you from our recall team. Very important that you never, ever, even in a panic, when the driver's there, and if you don't have one of these, to slap something else on it, okay? I'd rather have you send the driver away and have them come back. So be sure when you get our email that you click on the BOL link and you print out the Hazmat BOL, usually 3 copies. 1 for the pallet, 1 for your records, and 1 for the driver.